Hello my precious friends, I really hope that you are doing great. Welcome to our today's class. It's our third lesson on a given Form 3 work topic called Surds. So we are looking at our example number 6, which reads that without using a calculator or mathematical tables, express √3 over 1 minus the cosine of 30 degrees in surd form and also simplify. So for us to express the cosine of 30 degrees in surd form, we'll be forced to use the help of a right, that is an equilateral triangle. So let me sketch this equilateral triangle here. Equilateral to mean that all sides are equal, then also all of its angles are also equal. So if I let this to be my equilateral triangle, then of course I'm going to subdivide so that I get the perpendicular height. So if it's an equilateral, we know that the sum of interior angles of a triangle is 180. So if it is an equilateral and the total angles are 3, that is, we have this angle, this one, and this other angle, it means that if you divide with 3, then each angle must be 60 degrees. So this is 60 degrees, this is also 60 degrees, then the upper angle is also 60 degrees. So because we are talking of an equilateral triangle, it means that all angles are equal. Similarly, all sides are equal. Therefore, if I let one of the sides to be around 2, it can be 2 centimeters, then the other side must be 2, and also this other side, it must be 2 centimeters, because we are talking of an equilateral triangle. So suppose the perpendicular height is subdividing this line into 2 equal parts, then it means that this side must be equal to this side. So if the whole of this is 2, it means from this point up to this point here, the length will actually be 1. Similarly, from this point up to this other point, this one will also be 1. So that when you add 1 plus 1, you are going to get 2. Then, if the whole of this angle is 60 degrees, it means half of this angle will be 60 divided by 2, which is 30 degrees. Similarly, on this other side, we are going to have 30 degrees. Therefore, I need to obtain those particular angles. Therefore, before we obtain the angles, we need to look for the value of this particular height here. So to achieve that, I'm going to use Pythagoras theorem. I can name this as A, B, then this one to be C, then I let this point to be X. So I want to use triangle ABX to find the perpendicular height. Of course, this is a perpendicular height, so this is 90. Similarly, this is also 90. So if I use Pythagoras theorem, of course, this will be the hypotenuse, this will be my base, then this will be the height. So from Pythagoras theorem, we know that hypotenuse squared should be equal to the base squared, then you add the height squared. So the hypotenuse is 2 for this case, so 2 squared must be equal to, our base is 1, so 1 squared, then plus height squared. So 2 squared you will get 4 is equals to 1 squared is 1 plus h squared. So if I take 1 to this other side, I'll have 4 minus 1 being equal to h squared, and therefore 3 is equals to h squared. If I take square roots on both sides, it means h will be equal to the root of 3. Therefore, this side, which is our h, will be equal to the root of 3. Then after that, we can use what we call the SOHCAHTOA, so that we find the trigonometric ratios. So from SOHCAHTOA, this one simply means that the sine is given by opposite of hypotenuse, the cos is given by adjacent of hypotenuse, then the tan is opposite of adjacent. So I'll start by finding maybe the sine. The sine of 60 degrees will be equal to, sine is opposite of hypotenuse. So the side that is opposite to 60 degrees will be this side here, which is the root of 3. So this is the root 3, then divided by hypotenuse is actually 2. So hypotenuse is 2. We can also find the cosine of the same angle, 60 degrees. Cos is adjacent of hypotenuse, which is equals to, the side that is adjacent to 60 degrees is 1. So this will be 1 divided by our hypotenuse, of course, is 2. Then we can move to tan. The tan of 60 degrees will be equal to opposite of adjacent, which is equals to the side that is opposite to 60 degrees is that is the h, which is the root of 3. So root 3 then divided by adjacent, of course, is 1, which is just equal to the root of 3. So this is root 3. Then we can move to the sine of 30 degrees. So sine 30 degrees will be equal to sine again is opposite of hypotenuse, which is equals to if I consider 30 degrees, the side that is opposite to 30 degrees is this side here, which is 1, then divided by our hypotenuse is 2. Then we can also find the cosine of 30 degrees. So cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, which will be equal to the side that is adjacent to 30 degrees is actually the root of 3. So this will be the root of 3, then divided by our hypotenuse is actually 2. Then we can move to the tan of 30 degrees. Tan 30 degrees will be equal to opposite of adjacent, so which is equals to the side that is opposite to 30 degrees is actually 1, then divided by opposite, so the opposite is 1, divided by adjacent is the root of 3. So this is the root of 3. So in summary, I can write down these trigonometric ratios. So in conclusion, we have seen that the sine of 60 degrees is the same as saying root 3 over 2. So this is the root of 3, then divided by 2. Then we move to the cosine of 60 degrees. Cos 60 degrees will be equal to a half. So this one will be equal to a half. Then we move to the tan of 60 degrees. Tan 60 degrees will be equal to the tan of 60 is giving us the root of 3. So this is root 3. Then we move to the sine of 30 degrees. Sine 30 degrees will be equal to a half. So this is a half. Then we move to cos 30 degrees. The cosine of 30 degrees will be equal to cos 30 degrees is root 3 over 2. So the root of 3 over 2. Then lastly, we move to tan 30 degrees. The tan of 30 degrees should give us 1 over the root of 3. So these are the trigonometric ratios. A point to note, the sine and cos are usually complementary. Therefore, the sine of 60 degrees must be equal to the cosine of 30 degrees. So you can see this is the root 3 over 2. Similarly, this is root 3 over 2. Similarly, if you take the cosine of 60 degrees, it must be equal to the sine of 30 degrees. You can see this is a half, this is also a half, because those two are usually complementary, which means they add up to 90 degrees. They are usually complementary. Then the other triangle that we shall also need is what we call an isosceles triangle, having 45 degrees as the base angles. So we can also consider this triangle here. So an isosceles triangle. Actually, let me use a different ink. So we can also consider this isosceles triangle here. So we have this one, this side. Then we can also have this side. Then I can complete it with this other side here. So if this is isosceles, it means this is 45 degrees. Then this one must also be 45 degrees. 45 degrees, such that this one becomes our 90 degrees. So it is isosceles because this side must be equal to this side for these angles to be equal. Then if I let one of the sides to be, I can let this one to be 1. I also let this other side to be 1. So it means we can look for the hypotenuse. We know that hypotenuse squared is equals to base squared plus height squared, which will be equal to, our base is 1, then the height is also 1. Then this is our hypotenuse. So 1 squared plus 1 squared should give you hypotenuse squared. So it means hypotenuse squared will be equal to 1 squared is 1 plus 1, which of course is equals to 2. So if hypotenuse squared is equals to 2, it means if you take square roots on both sides, it means the hypotenuse will be equal to the root of 2. Therefore, this side is equal to the root of 2. Then from there, we can also find, we can use SOHCAHTOA to find the size of the other angles in terms of surds. So using SOHCAHTOA, katoa, we can find the sine of 45 degrees. Sine 45 degrees will be equal to opposite over hypotenuse, which is equals to, so from this 45 degrees, the side that is opposite is, of course, 1. Then hypotenuse is the root of 2. Then the cosine of 45 degrees, remember sine and cos are complementary. Therefore, I expect their angles to be, their ratios to be the same. So cos is adjacent of hypotenuse. So the side that is adjacent to 45 is this one here. So this is 1 divided by hypotenuse is actually the root of 2. Yeah, you can see they are equal. 1 over root 2, 1 over root 2. Because if you take 45 plus 45, it will give you 90 degrees, showing that they are complementary. Then the tan of 45 degrees will be equal to opposite over adjacent. So the opposite to 45 degrees will be this side, which is 1. Then, the opposite should be this one, which is 1. Then divided by our adjacent is still 1 on this side. Of course, if you simplify 1 divided by 1, you are still going to get 1. Therefore, we can also add these trigonometric ratios here, that the sine of 45 degrees must always give you 1 over the root of 2. Then that the cosine of the same angle, the cosine of 45 degrees, will still give you 1 over root 2, 1 over root 2. Then the tan of the same angle, 45 degrees, will always be equal to 1. So these are the trigonometric ratios that we need whenever you want to express maybe the cosine of a certain angle or the sine or the tan into a surd form, so that you can rationalize them. Therefore, using the values that we have just obtained, we were told to express the root of 3, then divided by 1 minus the cosine of 30 degrees in surd form. So this will be equal to the root of 3, then divided by 1 minus the cosine of 30 degrees, cos 30 degrees, we have found it is root 3 over 2. So minus the root of 3 over 2. Then from this point, we are going to rationalize. So of course, to rationalize means you are going to multiply with the conjugate. So that means I have root 3, then divided by 1 minus root 3 over 2. So I'm going to multiply by the conjugate. So the conjugate, if we have a minus, it means the conjugate will be plus. So we multiply with the conjugate, which is 1 plus the root of 3, then divided by 2. You do the same thing on the numerator, 1 plus the root of 3 over 2. So if we multiply root 3 times 1, I'm going to get the root of 3. Then root 3 times root 3 over 2. This one will be plus root 3, which was outside. Then we have root 3 over 2, root 3 over 2, that way. Then divided by, on the denominator, we have what we call a difference of two squares. Therefore, I'm going to apply the property that we learned in lesson 1 of this particular topic. So I'll simply pick the squares of the negative one. So this is the same as saying 1 squared minus the root of 3 over 2 squared. So which will be equal to the root of 3. I can actually write it on the upper side. So let me write it here. So this will be equal to, I can erase this. So this will be equal to root 3. So this is the root 3, then plus root 3 simply means the root of 3 multiplied by 3. So 3 by 3, the root of that. Then of course the whole thing was over 2. So this one over 2. Then we divide with 1 squared is just 1. Then minus this one means you are going to take the root of 3. Then you square that part separately. Then you also take the denominator. You also square it. So this will be equal to the root of 3. Then plus. So 3 by 3 you will get 9. So this will be root 9. Then divided by 2. Then the whole thing divided by 1 minus. So the square root and the square are going to cancel out. So we'll have 3 divided by 2 squared. You are going to get positive 4. So this should be equal to, this should be equal to, so we are going to get, so this will be 3, that is the root of 3, so this will be root 3, root 3 plus square root of 9 is actually 3, so this will remain to be 3 over 2, then the whole thing is divided by 1 minus 3 over 4. So of course the LCM will be 4, so if I take this one to be over 1, of course 4 into 1 4 times, so this will be 4, then minus 4 into 4 1 times 3, I'll get 3. So we're going to remain with a quarter, so this will be the root of 3, then plus 3 over 2, then the whole thing divided by, this will be a quarter, divided by a quarter. Now remember, when you divide, it simply means you have to multiply with the reciprocal. Therefore the reciprocal of a quarter will be 4. So this is the same as saying the root of 3, then plus 3 over 2, then this one multiplied by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of a quarter will be 4 over 1, which is just 4. So if I open the bracket, I'm going to have 4 root 3, then plus, of course 2 and 2 will go into 4 2 times, 2 times 3, you are going to get positive 6. So we are told to express in surd form and simplify. So this is the simplified equation. So that is our simplified equation. Then this is the equation that is expressed in form of surd form. Then we can move to our example 7. So let's check our example 7, which reads that, so in example 7 we are told that write sine 45 in the form 1 over root a, where a is a positive integer, hence simplify root 8 divided by 1 plus sine 45, leaving the answer, that is leaving the answer in surd form. So it's a question worth 3 marks. So we are told to write sine of 45 in terms of 1 over the root of a. Therefore we'll simply check what is the equivalence of sine 45 from our trigonometric ratios. So I'll refer back. So sine 45 was 1 over root 2. So this is 1 over root 2. So this is equals to 1 over the root of 2. Then of course I'll simply rewrite the equation. So we have expressed sine 45 in terms of 1 over the root of a, where a of course is 2 for this particular case. Then we are told hence to simplify the root of 8, then divided by 1 plus the sine of 45. So of course this will be equal to the root of 8, then divided by 1 plus the sine of 45. We have gotten it as 1 over the root of 2. Therefore we are going to multiply with the conjugate on both sides of the equation. So I can rewrite this. So this is the root of 8, then divided by 1 plus 1 over the root of 2. So the conjugate will simply be the minus. So this will be, we multiply with the conjugate, which is 1 minus 1 over root 2. We also multiply with the conjugate on the numerator, which is 1 minus 1 over the root of 2. So of course this will be equal to root 8 times 1. I'm going to get the root of 8, then minus root 8 times negative 1 over root 2. This will be root 8. Root 8 multiplied by, actually I can rewrite it on this upper side because I have enough space. So let me just rewrite it here. So this will be root 8 times 1. I'm going to get the root of 8. Then root 8 times negative 1 over root 2. I'm going to have, of course we have a negative here. Negative times positive, you'll get negative. So this will be negative the root of 8. Then we are multiplying with 1 over the root of 2. 1 over the root of 2. So the negative is already factored here. So root 8 times 1 over the root of 2. Then the whole thing will be divided with, this a difference of 2 squares. So I simply pick the negative one. So this will be 1 squared. Then minus 1 over the root of 2 squared. 1 over the root of 2 squared. So this will be equal to, so this is the root of 8, then minus, so root 8 divided by root 2 is the same as saying the root of into bracket 8 then divided by 2. So it's simply the same thing. You factor out the root. Of course, root 8 times 1, you'll get root 8. So it will be root 8 then into bracket the root of 2. So we are going to divide 8 by 2. Then the whole thing will be divided by 1 squared is 1 minus. This one means you square the numerator, then you also square the denominator, root 2 squared. So this will be equal to, so this will give us the root of 8, then minus the root of 8 divided by 2, you are going to get 4. So this one will give you 4. Then of course divided by the root of 4 divided by 1 minus, so 1 squared you are going to get 1, then divided by root 2, so the square root and the square will cancel out, so this one will remain to be a half. Then we are going to get the root of 8, then minus square root of 4, we are going to get a positive 2, then divided by 1 minus a half, you are going to get a half. But 8 can be expressed as 4 multiplied by 2, so this one is the same as 4 times 2, which is 8, then minus 2, then divided by 1 over 2. So this can be rewritten as, we can actually rewrite it as, so this will be, it's the same as saying root 4 root 2, root 4 root 2, then minus 2, then the whole thing divided by a half. So this will be, the square root of 4 is 2, so this will be 2 root 2, then minus 2, then divided by a half, So you can choose to leave it at this point, or you can simplify further. Remember, division means you are multiplying by the reciprocal, so it's the same as saying into bracket 2 root 2, 2 root 2, then minus 2, then the reciprocal of a half will be 2 over 1. So this one means 2 is going to multiply with 2, whereby we'll have 4 root 2. Then 2 multiplied by 2 will get a negative 4. So we can leave our answer at that particular point. So it can be simplified beyond that point. Then we can also look at our 8th example, which reads that without using mathematical table or calculator, evaluate sine 30 degrees minus sine 60 degrees divided by tan 60 degrees. So it was a question in 2018, paper 2, question number 11. So we are simply going to find the equivalence of whatever we are given. So let's find what is the size of sine 30 degrees. So I can just refer because I've already computed it. So sine 30 degrees was equal to a half. So this one is a half. So this will be equal to a half. Then we also need sine 60 degrees. Sine 60 degrees was equal to, let me refer, sine 60 degrees was also, no, we need the sine. Sine 60 degrees is root 3 over 2. Sine 60 is root 3 over 2. Sine 60 is the root of 3, then over 2. Let me just confirm. Sine 60, yeah, root 3 over 2. Sine 60 is root 3 over 2. Then we also need the tan of 60. So tan 60 degrees will be equal to, we can also cross check. The tan of 60 was root 3. Tan 60, we are getting root 3. So this is the root of 3. Therefore, we can substitute. So it means this equation will become sine 30 degrees is a half. So the equation will be a half. Then minus sine 60 degrees will actually be root 3 over 2. Root 3 over 2. Then divided by tan 60 degrees is the root of 3. So we said that when you have such an equation, when you are having only one number on there, in terms of surds on the denominator, of course without any addition or subtraction, it means the conjugate will be the same number. So if we rationalize, this will be, so this one, we are having a half, so this is a half, then minus root 3 over 2, then divided by the root of 3. So the conjugate will be the same number, so the conjugate will still be root 3. So we multiply with the root 3 on the denominator and also on the numerator by root 3, because that is our conjugate. So a half times root 3, you'll get a half root 3, a half root 3, then minus root 3 times root 3 over 2, this will be root 3, multiplied by root 3 over 2, then divided by root 3. Root 3 is the same as saying the root of 3 multiplied by 3. So this should give us, this will be equal to root 3 over 2, the root of 3 over 2, that is a half times root 3, that will give you root 3 over 2, then minus root 3. Root 3 is the same as the root of 3 multiplied by 3. Then of course it is over 2, then divided by root 3. Root 3 is root 9. So this is 3 by 3 will give you 9. So this will be root 3 over 2, then minus the root of 3 by 3 is also 9, then divided by 2, then divided by the square root of 9. So this should give us, this will be equal to root 3 over 2, then minus square root of 9 is 3 over 2, then divided by square root of 9 is also 3. So when you divide, you multiply with the reciprocal. So this is the same as saying the root of 3 divided by 2 minus 3 over 2, then multiplied by the reciprocal of 3 is actually 1 over 3. The reciprocal is 1 over 3. So if I open the bracket, I'm going to have root 3 over 3 by 3. I'm going to get 6. So 3 by 3 will give me 6. Then minus 3 over, so this will be 3 over 2 multiplied by 1 over 3. So this one will give me the root of 3 over 6. Then minus, of course 3 and 3 will cancel out. So I'll remain with a half. I'm going to remain with a half. So we are told to you without using a calculator or mathematical table to evaluate. So this will be our answer, but we can also choose, we can also factor out a half. So or a half, then into bracket, this will be a half here. I'm going to have root 3 over 3. So this will be root 3 over 3, then minus 1. Because if you open the bracket, you're going to have root 3 over 6, then minus a half. So you can leave it this way or this other way. So thank you very much for accompanying me until the end of this particular lesson. I do not take it for granted. In case you are new to the channel, kindly hit the subscription button and also turn on the notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video, you'll get notified. Until next time, this is Kind Tuition Academy. Thank you.